Abdi Dalem is a part of the structural administration in the Yogyakarta Palace, which refers to a person being appointed to assist with government and administrative duties at the Yogyakarta Palace. Let's take a look at the special tasks, duties, and privileges of an Abdi Dalem of Keraton Yogyakarta.
Keraton Kesultanan Yogyakarta Hadiningrat, or the Palace of Kesultanan Yogyakarta, has been consistent in preserving its culture, art, and traditions. As one of Yogyakarta's tourist attractions, Yogyakarta Palace is a symbol of life of the Mataram land. It is about prestige and dignity in keeping the authority and traditional values that will be passed on to the next generations. Visiting Yogyakarta's palace, we will be treated with a variety of well-preserved cultural activities. The gamelan performances at the Sri Manganti Ward, for example, is a must-see typical characteristic of the palace that has been maintained all along. It is something visitors would not want to miss. The gamelan musicians are palace's Abdi Dalem, or courtiers who never tire of devoting themselves to the preservation of a traditional custom. Abdi Dalem, or royal servants at Keraton Jogja, are divided into several working areas. They are characterized from the clothing. Abdi Dalem's typical clothing or attire is called peranakan. Peranakan comes from the word begotten. This means that being an Abdi Dalem will be considered as if they are from one family and was born from the same mother. The Abdi Dalems all wear the same attire and perform their duties barefooted. Meanwhile, female Abdi Dalem are not permitted to wear jewelry. All of this is intended to eliminate differences between rich and poor courtiers, making all courtiers equal. Furthermore, Abdi Dalem is referred to as konco at the palace, which means a friend or relative. Keraton Yogyakarta Hadiningrat, which was proclaimed on March 13, 1755, or 29 Jumadilawal 1680 on the Javanese calendar, requires status of state apparatus both from the civilian or military groups. Abdi Dalem is a civil servant, while the palace soldiers serve as the military apparatus. Abdi Dalem is the operational executor in every organization established by the Sultan. In another word, they are the ones running the operational tasks around the palace. In addition to performing operational duties in every organization in the palace, Abdi Dalem are also servants of culture. Cultural servants are people who can and serve as role models for the larger community. Abdi Dalem must be able to set a good example in society by acting with courtesy and manners. Therefore, Abdi Dalem of Keraton Yogyakarta will always have a smile to offer and be in their best form of hospitality and courteous fashion. Another interesting thing is the way Abdi Dalem communicated between themselves using the Bagongan language, the language spoken only inside the Keraton. Bagongan language is different from Javanese language in general. The use of Bagongan language made it possible to delete any differences of rank and degree while communicating between Abdi Dalem. Abdi Dalem Keraton Yogyakarta is divided into two main sections, the Punokawan and the Kaprajan. Abdi Dalem Punokawan are servants from the general public, working as operational staff in the palace on a daily basis. They are again divided into two groups, namely Abdi Dalem Punakawan Tepas and Abdi Dalem Punakawan Taos. Abdi Dalem Punakawan Tepas works the same hours as any other office workers. Meanwhile, Abdi Dalem Punakawan Chaos, on the other hand, only faces the palace once every 10 days. This is performed as a sign of respect and loyalty as an abdi or servant. Abdi Dalem Keprajan are those from the Indonesian National Armed Forces, police and civil servants who are accepted and appointed as Abdi Dalem. In general, Abdi Dalem Keprajan are people who have reached a retirement age and then volunteer their time, knowledge and energy to assist the palace. Meanwhile, Abdi Dalem whose scope of work are the closest with the Sultan are Abdi Dalem Keparak and mostly are dominated by females. Their responsibilities, such as guarding the heirloom area, preparing ceremonial equipment, and preparing the need of the Sri Sultan, the Empress, and the Sultan's children who lived in the palace, have allowed them to work in close contact with the Sultan and the inner circle. To be officially approved as an Abdi Dalem, prospective Abdi Dalem must complete a 2-year apprenticeship program. During these 2 years, apprentice servants will be evaluated based on their diligence in coming to the palace, their determination to serve, as well as their talents and educational background. After being deemed worthy to serve as Abdi Dalem, they are then inaugurated through graduation. The Abdi Dalem graduation takes place twice a year, in the month of Bagda Mulud and Shawwal. Being an Abdi Dalem is a personal commitment. Abdi Dalem who are unable to perform their duties due to old age, illness, or other factors will be dismissed through a process known as Miji. So far, it is extremely rare for Abdi Dalem to tire, let alone to resign, once they gotten their post. Being Abdi Dalem is more than a financial gain. It is more out of their own will to serve the Keraton that they love so dearly and educate the community about the culture of Keraton of Yogyakarta.